Welcome to the Renaissance Achiever with Sarah Fui. And today we have our special guest, Kia Currie, also known as Kiaoratahi from New
Yes.
Zealand, born and raised in New Zealand, currently living in Tacoma, Washington.
Mhm.
And thank you, Kia, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I know Kia. I haven't known her personally very well. I've probably
Mhm.
met you in person like once or twice,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
her older sister was one of my best friends in college, and I have to say is still one of my best friends because she gets mad at me when I say was. But her older sister Ashley and I have been close for like almost 20 years. I want to say we met like 19 years ago and have been friends since. And I have just followed Kia's journey online. And we were just chatting before we started recording, and you were sharing about how I've just kind of been there since you opened your
Yeah,
account, and
yeah.
probably the same for me, and that everything we post just kind of aligns with each other, and we have different personalities and different flavors of showing up,
Mhm.
but our mindset is very similar. And I think we've both felt that way
Yes.
about each other.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I have just admired you. I love watching your journey. Some things that I love about Kia is that she's just super weird. And weird people are my people, but she's like hilarious. She's hilarious. She's authentic. She's sexy. She's confident and just totally genuine. And I love that. And I'll read a little bio about you for everyone. So Kia has a passion for reminding people of their magic, to think better and bigger. She changed her life with her mindset, building her own self worth and confidence. And now she shares that in any way she can while aiming to keep it very real. And that's really the message of your podcast, Kiki Said So,
Mhm.
where it's this blend of humor and girlfriend talk. I really feel like you're just sitting with a girlfriend hanging out, listening to your
Yes.
podcast. It's so natural, conversational, kind of jumps around to like
Yes.
interesting, entertaining topics, a little bit of gossip, and then a little bit of pep talk and confidence
Uh-huh.
building and that self help. And I love that blend. So if you haven't heard of it, Kiki Said So, you have to check out her podcast. Super amazing.
I
So I have
appreciate that.
so many questions for you because I've watched you on this journey
Yeah, it's
through
been like I think
social
at least like
media.
4 years.
Yeah. And I've
Mhm.
never had a one on one conversation with you. So we're finally making it happen. So, a question I have for you is, how did you start on this personal development journey?
It's so funny. It was literally all about money. I was so broke and I discovered that you could manifest money. And I was like, I need money, I need money, I need money. And then the more I got into it and manifesting, I was like, oh, it goes a little deeper than money and it goes into belief and like this affects my relationships and this affects my tie to my mother and everything. And it just was like this rabbit hole. I did have a kids business where I did read a lot of self-help books and it was more so becoming my best self so I could help the people that were selling these clothes. But then the real catapult for it all was money. And then I was like, you want money because the validation or whatever. And it was this big thing, but it's funny. It was like the most shallow reason that I got into all of it. And it started, I think it's been like 5 years now. A big old
Interesting.
journey. Yeah.
Can we reframe that? Because is it shallow to want money or is it
No, no, it's
natural in
not.
our
No, it's not.
society? It's not
Yes.
shallow. Like
Thank
everybody
you.
wants money. But I
This is
love
true.
that that was kind of your start, that you realized that money is actually connected to a deeper network of our self worth, our
Yes.
child trauma, our attachment to our parents, and this
Beliefs. Yeah.
spirituality, beliefs, and
Mhm.
manifestation. So, what is it about manifestation that you felt was true? And maybe did you have some earlier experiences with it that really solidified this belief in it for you?
First of all, I really wanted to get into debt. I was bored and lonely, so I'd overspend to validate and keep myself busy, ignore the feelings. And then I just had this overwhelming amount of debt. And I wanted to manifest money to take care of the debt. Instead of saving or not spending, I was like, let me just manifest money, which is fun. I think
That
manifesting
sounds
is so fun.
easier.
Yeah. And I manifested $10,000 and it came in the form of a car crash. I literally
Interesting.
2 days later got into a car crash, and what's so funny is the lady teaching me was like, "Don't do it in this way because the money will come fast, but it'll come in a way you don't want." So I got into a car crash, effed up my back for a whole year. I was in
No.
I was seeing a chiropractor. What's so funny is the final settle amount was $10,000, But because I had messed up my back, it all went to medical bills and I was left with $15. But
Mm,
was my belief. I was like, "Oh, it worked. I just need to be more specific." So that was the first
interesting.
thing that I was like, "Okay, it works. Let me just maybe not get it in the form of an accident."
I'm curious, just for my own benefit, is what did she teach you about manifesting that you should or shouldn't do so that it doesn't come in the form of a back injury or that it doesn't come in the form of, well, I got the $10,000, but only 15 is left for me? What are the tricks to not, I guess, to avoid those scenarios?
I think it was my energy behind it. I was very desperate, but I've learned so many things along the years. Like what I believed about manifesting 4 years ago is not really resonant now. But she encouraged you to want this money, but for the good of all and harm to none. And for me, in my
Mm.
mindset, I was kind of like, I don't give a if what happens, just give me the money. I was so desperate. And I was like, oh, joke's on you. You have back problems for the next 5 years.
And that's where the beliefs come in, right? What beliefs do you
Yes.
have about money?
Yes.
And maybe there's subconsciously a belief that money just can't come easily, that there has
Yeah,
to
or
be
it
some
has
kind
to
of
be
sacrifice
hard.
for it. It has to be hard. There has to be a
You have to
sacrifice. I
struggle,
don't deserve
hustle.
it. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. When you carry those subconscious beliefs, they filter into what you're trying to create. Yeah.
absolutely.
Totally. That's a trip. So on this journey, you said you used to, I remember when you used to sell kids' clothes, kids'
Mhm.
dresses. I still have one of the dresses that I bought
Of course, because they
from
last
you.
forever.
They last forever. It was one of my oldest daughter's one, and it's a little bit faded. It's been through 3 girls now, so I don't love it anymore because 'cause I'm like, you can tell it's worn,
Yes,
but it's my youngest daughter's favorite dress because it's so comfortable, and it's the same
of
as my
course.
oldest. It was her favorite, and so we still have that dress. So you started
Same.
with that company selling these kids' dresses or kids'
Mhm,
clothing, and then I've also seen you create an online shop with
mhm, product.
stickers and online digital products. You have the podcast. You're
Mhm.
also coaching or mentoring in confidence
Yes.
and empowerment. And then do you also have a day job? What's your day? What is it that you do
I work at
outside of
a
all these?
restaurant on the weekends, so I serve. It's really
Okay.
interesting. You meet a lot of different humans. I think because I worked for myself for so long, I definitely know this season was needed. Working for someone else and getting the paycheck, it definitely is like building this gratitude for when I have something of my own again. I can look back and really have this true appreciation. Like I have this time freedom. I don't have a schedule. But for now, I
Mhm.
do feel it's needed in the season of my life. Yeah, so I work in the
Yeah.
customer service industry.
And I believe that's the case for most people as they're building different projects on the side,
Mhm.
right? So you do that on the weekends as well, and you're still doing all these different endeavors, or where are you at now? What is your main focus in your entrepreneurship?
I always tell myself I want to get paid to be myself, but I went through this journey of I had no confidence. Like if you told me I was a good person, then I believed it. But if you told me I was a bad person, I also believed that. My confidence and self-worth was so based on other people's opinions and beliefs of me. I was such a people pleaser and I built this confidence and self-worth from the ground up and I was like, wow, you can do so much with your mind and just meeting so many people and how their self-worth and confidence affects literally every aspect of their life, from their money to their job to their friendships, relationships, their living situation. I just, in any way I can, I want to remind someone they're special or teach them these little ways to build up their confidence because it affects everything. And I watched how it just improved my life in every aspect. I'm like, "Okay, I wanna share that. How can I share this any way I can?"
That's your calling, is to help
Yes.
others with their
Yes.
self-worth. And you're not super attached to any modality. It's just however it shows up in a
Mhm.
certain season of this is
I
how I
f
want to do it.
Yes, and I've been reminded time and time again how much I need freedom in my life. So if I put myself in a box and it's like, "You only do it this way," then I want chaos and I wanna go against the grain, and so giving myself the freedom to do it in multiple ways, I'm a lot happier.
Same. Yes, I feel
Yes.
that. And also experimenting and being okay with, I'm going to experiment with this and I don't love it, then I don't have to do it forever, right? I
Well,
think
that's so true with you being a manifesting generator. They're taught to follow their nudges and passions throughout life. Like one career path for you guys is a nightmare. You do this for the next 60 years, that's totally against a manifesting generator.
yeah. That's totally me, and when people ask about five-year plan, I'm like, "Ooh, I don't do that. Why would I limit the universe and what it wants to bring to me," you know?
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. For those who are not familiar with human design, because you're speaking of human design, mine is
Mhm.
a manifesting generator. Can you give just a little explanation of what exactly that is? And I know you used to read charts and
Yeah,
coach on
yeah.
that as well. Are you still
Mhm.
doing that?
If someone came to me and, like, specifically wanted me to, I'd be happy to. I think I took a break when was working at the restaurant and doing the podcast because it was a lot on my schedule and plate, but I would describe it as almost like a blueprint for you to live in a way that's most aligned, authentic, and almost living your best self because the way you operate is not the way your husband operates, and the way you operate is not the way your kids operate. And I don't have as much energy as my best friend has. And there's just so many. It's very complex, and I really, really love it.
It's really mentally freeing in a way to understand yourself better and why you do
Yes,
the things you
yes,
do, and also giving other people less judgment for doing things the way they do them,
yes,
right?
yes.
Giving grace to your kids or your spouse for operating differently. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first had both my astrology chart and my human design chart read, it was this giant confidence booster because it's like, oh, I was made to be different and I was made to be this way. And someone along the way may have labeled me as bad or wrong or doing it the wrong way. And just being able to read it and be like, you are this way for a reason and you have these gifts, you were born with these gifts, it's really empowering.
Yeah. And also, when you are listening to different mentors and coaches and business coaches, it's important to realize that the advice they may be giving is aligned for their human design,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mesh for you because I've had to learn to filter information and be like, yes, I'm getting so much value from this mentor and learning all of these things, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently because I can't quite do it that way and not pathologize myself for doing it differently, or I'm being lazy, or I'm not having enough faith, or I'm not having enough motivation. It's like, no, I just operate differently. Right.
But it's almost
Yeah.
like us as females, when you get into business or starting something for yourself, a lot of the, at least 4 or 5 years ago, a lot of the content was geared towards masculine. And it's, you need
Mm.
to hustle and you need to grind and wake up at 6 a.m. And that is a nightmare. I mean, we both have sides to us. We have feminine and masculine, but
Mhm.
that doesn't work for everyone. It's actually the opposite.
Yes. And so many women in corporate or in full-time working careers or in entrepreneurship still believe they have to do things in masculine ways in order to be successful,
Oh,
but
yeah.
when women are in that feminine flow, they are able to be more successful. It just looks different in how they're operating,
Mhm.
right? And there's it's just letting go of that judgment of others or judgment of self that I am doing things differently.
Oh, yeah.
So when we talk about masculine, feminine, for
Mhm.
those who are not familiar with it, can you describe some masculine traits in operating versus what feminine traits would look like?
I would say masculine is taking initiative, making the first move. It's very much go, 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 taking action. And feminine is more creative, receptive, in the flow, receiving, playing. That's
Yeah.
been a huge journey of mine this year. I'm trying to lean more in my feminine. I was raised by a very, like, my mom is very feminine, but she's also masculine. She paid all the bills, she worked the job, she took care of
Yeah.
everything. And as a woman, being raised by a woman and watching her do everything, you think you need to do everything, and it
Hmm.
is very backwards in dating because the man's trying to take the lead, and you're like, "No, I got the lead." And it's like in receiving money and in business, I've been trying to lean more in my feminine because I know how to do the masculine, but my feminine
Hmm.
is screaming to take a turn and be lit in, and yeah, it's been a journey.
I can totally relate to that. And I feel like all of the women in my family, my sisters and I, have a lot of masculine energy and like
Yeah.
dominant
Yeah.
energy in our
Well,
relationships,
aren't you an
our poor
Aries as
partners.
well?
I'm an Aries as well, and I'm year of the ox, and so I see that. And what's interesting is I don't feel my mom has a lot of that masculine energy, but maybe she does in her own quiet way. She was
Mhm.
always really independent and strong, even though
Yes.
my dad had a lot of the masculine energy. So it's just interesting to see that dynamic and how when you don't learn to step into that flow and ease, how it affects your relationships. And even my mothering and wanting to be more playful with my kids because I'm
Mhm.
too much in task oriented mode
Mhm.
at the do. And so feminine is that flow and receivership and allowing things. But I think with that, stepping into that feminine energy, there has to come this level of safety and trust
Absolutely.
in order for a woman to step into that. And so, does she feel taken care of by her man? Does she
Mhm.
trust that he will step up in the masculine role so that she can be at ease and in her feminine? And
Mhm.
I think that's an important factor to look at, right?
Yeah, because you can't let your guard down if you don't feel safe enough.
In your feminine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you find yourself in the masculine too much, it's like, what is it in my environment or in myself that needs to trust in the flow?
Yeah, or
That's so
what
true.
part of me is showing up as masculine? What part of me is attracting feminine men and even looking inward?
That's true. That you attracted this situation
Yeah, yeah.
because maybe you wanted the control. It felt safer for you to be in
Mhm.
control.
It proves all those beliefs. I have to take care of everything, so then I attract someone that makes me take care of them, and then I prove myself right, and I can play the victim, and it's just this
Mhm.
whole thing.
The hyper independence, right?
Yes.
I was actually just talking to a client about that earlier today that we often choose partners who perpetuate the stories that we have about ourselves or
Absolutely.
about life. So if it's this subconscious belief that I have to do everything myself, I have to take care of things, and I'm going to find a partner that makes me feel like I have to take care of things. Or
Oh,
if I
yeah.
feel I'm not good enough, I'm going to choose a partner that often makes me feel like I'm not good enough, right? And it's
We'll find
perpetuating.
what we are looking for or believe, and it might not even be conscious, it's very subconscious.
Yes. And we wonder, why am I in this
Yes.
situation? And so when people say, why do I keep attracting this kind of partner? It's not that we're attracting them because we could attract a lot of healthy people too. It's that we're choosing
Mhm.
them. I don't think it's we're attracting them. It's that we are gravitating towards the ones that feel familiar, even if it's
Yes.
not necessarily the healthiest. But it doesn't mean we're not attracting the other ones too. They're out there. It's just we have blinders on to them because they don't feel as comfortable.
And it's almost like you're showing up at that frequency that they are
Yeah,
showing up as well.
yeah. Your energy matches on that
Yes,
frequency
like
for
attracts
sure.
like, yeah.
And, I don't think that's a necessarily horrible thing. I think about when I met my husband and my own personal story. I was in one of the darkest, hardest places of my life. So obviously, he still had baggage too. We met each other broken and we're still healing, but we also energetically matched in a spiritual way, even though we had all of this other emotional baggage. And I have watched us slowly elevate and rise and heal over the years together, which has been super messy and not
Yeah.
easy, but it's doable. And so if you
Yeah.
think I attracted this person when I was at my worst, doesn't mean you can't grow and heal and rise together as well.
I think that's
Yeah.
also a choice because you could meet someone in the messy, make each other's messy worse, and it could be like this huge toxic mess. Or you could meet each other, see each other's best, see their
Like
best.
pulling out the higher version of each other because we see
Yeah.
that in each other, right?
Like have high
Yeah.
expectations for each other and push each other to do better.
And it's that pushing that's messy because we don't always do the delivery
Yes, it
well,
doesn't
where it's
feel
like,
good.
you need to step up and do this and this, a slap in the face, but actually you're right, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So how did you get on this self-love journey, this confidence and empowerment journey? How did you do it for yourself?
Well, I think what inspired me was just feeling terrible about myself. I always compared myself to other people. I was so desperately seeking that validation. I'm trying to think of what really inspired it. It was a lot of meditations and journaling. I grew up very, very religious. And so I grew up with shame around my body, like cover up. And I didn't like to look in the mirror. And then actually, when I left my kid's dad, I was home alone half the week because we co parented. And so I started looking at myself naked in the mirror and, okay, I like that. And then being comfortable with my body, walking around with a t shirt on and appreciating it. And I spent a lot of time alone. I think that helped. And in my alone time, just got really honest with myself. Okay, where did you start not liking yourself? Is this true? Is this something someone said to you? It was a lot of time alone and journaling and Just little ways. Affirmations for sure helped. My self-talk. Self-talk was probably the biggest change, changing the way I spoke to myself.
Externally and internally out loud, but also just
Yes,
the
yeah.
internal dialogue. So, how do you change your internal dialogue when it's usually on autopilot repeat? What are some strategies?
Slowing down and being a lot more aware of what you're saying. I've always been a very tough love person. My mom's a very tough love person, and so it was very much like that. Like, why are you calling yourself stupid if you don't want to feel stupid? And then very blunt honesty, like, okay, if you don't want to feel stupid, you can't be calling yourself stupid. And slowing down for sure, because it's hard to make changes if you're just on autopilot, scrolling and then making the same choices. It was a lot of slowing down, a lot of journaling.
I think that's huge because you can't create awareness when you're just go, go, go. And so many of us are just in the rat race. And it sounds like you intentionally created space to do the work because
Yeah,
even though your kids were gone half the time, a lot of people would use that time to be like, well, I'm going to get another job. I'm going to work more hours, or I'm going to use that time to go out and date or be with friends, or I'm just going to binge Netflix and be depressed, right? But you were like, no, I'm going to do the work. And you did the mirror work, you did the
yeah.
affirmations, you did the journaling.
Well, I think I did both. Like, there were times where I binged Netflix, but I just became so self-aware. It was like, okay, you just binged Netflix, but now you feel terrible. And I hated feeling terrible. So it was like, okay, what makes you feel good? Or going out and comparing myself to other people. Okay, why are you comparing yourself to other people? What makes you feel good? What would make you feel good? I would talk to, every time I'd get ready in the mirror, I'd just talk to myself. Oh, I
Mm.
look pretty. And then their voice would be like, I don't look pretty. And I'm like, but why? Why don't you feel pretty? And people may claim others as crazy. I talk to myself all the time, all the
I
time.
love it. I love it. So, you know what? I'm seeing it from my perspective is so my background is in therapy, specializing in trauma, but now I do
Yes.
coaching. And there's a type of therapy called internal family systems or IFS, and it's about parts work, also known as shadow work, also
Mhm.
known as inner child healing. And the concept is that we just have all these different parts within ourselves and they are there for a reason. They're there to protect us, but oftentimes we don't perceive them as doing that. We perceive them
Yeah.
as threats, like that negative voice saying, no, you're not. Well, we usually want to shut it up and make it go away because we don't like that feeling, but it's coming up for a reason. It's trying to protect you. So the way that you heal these different parts in IFS is you take time to explore them with curiosity and
Mhm.
compassion. And that's when they calm down and realize, okay, I can trust you and I don't have to keep fighting like this. And that's
Mhm.
what you're doing and having those conversations with yourself instead of being like, shut up, that's not true. You're like, well, why do you feel that way? And you get
Mhm.
curious. And that's the
Yeah.
way you're doing this type of work on yourself. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Well, because learned somewhere along the way, you can ignore these voices, but they don't go away. You
Hmm.
have to process these things and think them through and feel them through, and they need to feel safe, and then they kinda leave you alone. I can tell it to shut up, but it comes back. So it was just
Exactly.
being so curious all the time.
So you were doing all of the parts work and shadow
Yeah,
work on
yeah.
yourself just with
Yes,
curiosity.
a lot of shadow work.
And I do that work with myself too, but I know I would like to do it more often, but I literally will put it in my calendar so that I remember to sit and do this
Yes,
type of work. But if you're able
yes.
to do it every time you hear that voice pop up and spend some time with it, how effective that would be.
Oh, yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah.
So, were there some pivotal moments that stand out in your memory as, oh, yeah, I felt a shift in my self love, in my self confidence in those moments? Or was it just a really gradual process over time where suddenly you looked back and you're like, wow, I'm a completely different person?
I think it was more gradual because there were those moments where I'd react different and I'd look back to 6 months, a year ago, and I'm like, "Holy crap, that made me cry a year ago, and now I genuinely don't care." A lot of
Mm,
triggering moments were definitely dating and friendships. I mean, your relationships with other people always bring out shadows you can't find on your own. They're really
mhm.
triggering, and so that's where I did a lot of my work was through friendships and dating, and I'd get triggered or I would just react different and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the work is working. I'm a different person from a year ago." So I don't think there was ever one moment, but there were definitely very triggering moments where I would sit and be like, "I don't wanna feel like this again. What does this say about me? What do I need to heal? What am I looking for?" So yeah, I think it was more gradual.
Yeah, but those moments stand out. The moments where the work is done is the triggering moments, and I think it's helpful for people to realize that every time you feel triggered, and when I use the word trigger, I mean you're feeling a strong negative emotion. You're
Mhm.
feeling jealousy, you're feeling
Yes.
shame or embarrassment, you're feeling irritable or angry or frustrated, that you get this strong emotional reaction. It is an opportunity for you to do
Absolutely.
self exploration, self healing, and deep work because everything we experience has everything to do with our own beliefs, our own thoughts, our own emotional regulation and capacity for handling life. And so taking those as opportunities to heal. And it sounds like that's what you were doing. There's these big pivotal moments you can remember. That was really triggering. And that's when I sat and
Mhm.
I explored and I did the work.
Because they
That's
are
incredible.
opportunities to grow. You see so often protect your peace, but you really aren't growing if you're isolated all the time. We grow in these triggering or these deep
Hmm.
negative emotions. They're opportunities as mirrors in reflecting back to us what we want or what we don't want or what we feel and don't feel. And I just noticed that there's this trend of protect your peace, but it's almost just isolation in disguise.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
is it really
avoidance.
peace? It is
Uh-huh.
avoidance.
Yeah. Let me just avoid everything that makes me feel bad instead of questioning why is it making me feel bad and is that really
Yeah.
their intention? Because if it's not their intention, maybe I need to check myself and figure out why it's making me feel bad, right?
You can't hide forever. And the universe has a beautiful way of you can try and hide, but it will bring up situations in different humans or in different things. And it's like, you're going to face this. And if you don't want to face it, I'll bring it around next year. But it does have this
Yep.
beautiful way of naturally bringing up things so we can grow as humans. You just have a choice to do it or not.
Yeah. And we're going to keep going through the same lessons over and over
Yeah.
until we
Yeah.
learn them. So might as well learn them now, right?
Yes. It's like that
Yes.
joke, like, "Why do I keep going through the same thing?" It's like, grow or choose different choices or have a different reaction.
One of the questions that my latest business coach used to ask a lot that I loved was, how am I contributing to my own suffering?
Yes, yes.
And it's not victim blaming. There's a difference between accountability and ownership for my life and victim blaming. There are real instances in our lives where we are victims and there is someone who is hurting us intentionally or we're being taken advantage of. And there is also this really empowering concept called ownership. And it just means that we are creators, we are not victims, that we're
Mhm.
powerful, and the choices that we make and the thoughts that we have create our reality. And so, if I am suffering and you're feeling helpless, you can't control other people. So, this question is actually really empowering to say, how am I contributing to my own suffering? It puts the power back in your hands because if I don't want to feel this way, there's something I can do about it instead of being at the mercy of everyone else. And so that's a great question for introspection
Yeah,
when you're doing the work.
I have in my notes written just so I live in my notes a lot and I have it there so I can always remind myself, but it's what am I focused on right now? Because what you focus on expands. And I can find myself like focusing on that one negative text or that one negative thing. And it's so crazy how we have these negative biases in our brain because you could get 30 compliments today and one mean comment and you just focus on that one.
Yes. And another truth that not a lot of people realize is that if a negative comment bothers you, it's because there's a part of you that believes it's true.
Yeah.
Because if you 100% knew that that was not you at all, they could say whatever they wanted and it wouldn't affect you. But because but one part of you could be saying, that's not true, I'm this, and they're fighting for that story. But there's
Mhm.
a subconscious part of you that believes it or it wouldn't be so butthurt.
Mhm.
And so it's doing that work. And another thought, I don't know why this popped up, but I feel to speak about it is that I feel like a lot of mentors and spiritual guides want to talk about your energy and frequency and only staying in positive
Mhm.
emotions and guilt and shame we know are at the bottom of
Right.
frequencies and emotions. And yet I feel that guilt has a place in that guilt is there to help us correct our behaviors and to improve. And so if you're shaming yourself, that's not going to get you anywhere and that's going to keep you down. But guilt can be looked at with curiosity instead of saying, I want to talk myself out of feeling this guilt and just focus on positive energy, you're never going to change to be better. You're just going to rationalize what you're doing. But
Absolutely.
guilt has a place for you to look at and say, why am I feeling guilty? One, it could be due to belief systems that maybe I don't necessarily believe anymore, or it could be I do believe that and I think I need to change this. And I just want to speak to that because I feel like a lot of people are into just rationalizing their behaviors and toxic positivity of I'm only going to focus on the good instead of looking at it and being like, well, maybe I'm feeling guilty because I actually do need to change this and not just
Yeah.
think more positively about it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I feel the
Yeah.
same way about jealousy because jealousy is described as this negative emotion, but it's an opportunity. If you feel jealous, you want that. You want some part of it, and you can use jealousy as clarity. I felt jealous. Okay, I really do want that. And why not just be honest with myself? Maybe I do want the G Wagon. Maybe I do want the nice house instead of shaming yourself for wanting those things.
Yes, I always preach that. Thank you for sharing that jealousy is actually a compass to tell you what your true desires are
Yes.
and that maybe you're not allowing yourself to feel that and so you're judging someone else like, "Oh, why is she doing that?" Like,
Huh?
but deep down I want that and the
Yeah.
reason why you feel jealousy is one, either you feel guilt about wanting that, you won't allow yourself to want that,
Hmm.
or you know that you want it but you believe it's never going to be possible for you. And
Yeah.
so it's just changing that belief of what if instead of it's not possible for me, what if it could be possible
Yeah.
for
What
me?
if I could have that too?
Yes, and changing the jealousy into inspiration. If she has that, then maybe I could have that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I love that you brought up jealousy. That's so true. That these negative emotions are sometimes just there for us to have
A clarity,
get more
opportunities.
clarity and awareness.
Yeah.
So I know right now you said the thing that's most exciting for you is your podcast, Kiki
Yeah.
Said So. Tell me about how that started and why you love it so much and maybe what you're hoping for it to lead into.
When I was selling the kids' clothes, I'd come online and I just knew if you're going to buy from me, I want to show you who I am, my personality. And it really helped me connect with so many people. I've made friends all around the world. So I would just come online and talk. I would make jokes, be silly, be myself online. And then when I left that, I was like, okay, I really enjoyed doing that. And I've connected with a lot of people. I want to continue doing this and morph all parts of me into an Instagram account. I want to hype people up and I want to be silly and I want to make jokes because that is me. If we're hanging out, we're going to dinner, you're getting all sides of me. One minute I'm going to hype you up, the next minute I'm going to make a joke. And I wanted that to be me. And I would get comments for years, make a podcast. And then anytime I would see someone do a podcast, I would feel jealous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have done it by now. I should have done it. Why am I not doing it? Why haven't I started? And it was a desire for so long and it wouldn't go away. And it was always on my year goal list, start a podcast, but I was always too chicken to do it. And so I bought the equipment and did it out of nowhere. And really, I really don't have a niche. When I describe it, it's almost like me, but in podcast form. Like I'm hyping you up. I'm talking about astrology. I'm being silly. I'm telling a story. I'm asking you insane would you rathers. It's me
Yes.
in a podcast. And I do. I don't know if it's where I was raised or my parents or the influence I had growing up, but I have always just embraced and loved that I'm able to keep it really real and be very honest. And I don't care if I'm the only one that says it. I don't care if I'm the only one that believes what I believe I'm going to say it. And it's gotten me a lot of friends and I've made a lot
It's
of
that
connections that way.
authenticity.
Yes. And so I started it last year and I just love it. When I record a podcast, I feel very alive and it feels very um aligned. It feels very aligned for me and it gives me a lot of energy. And I would say my goal with it is I do want it to grow. I would love one day to interview people because I feel best when I'm having conversations with people. That is why I love to go out and socialize. I love talking to people, making people laugh, and just offering a different perspective. And so in the future, I would love for it to be conversations like with an NFL player or with a celebrity or with
Yeah.
someone. That is where I would love to go with it because that is just fun for me. I do love having conversations in public. It's opened a lot of doors for me just being myself. So that is where I would love to go.
Ooh, I love it. It's like the online Oprah podcasting.
But with no filter.
No filter. Yes. You have to check out her podcast. It's very authentic, very, very entertaining. I
Yeah.
would say this is my comparison coming through, but I'm always learning, right, about how to show up differently by observing others. And I love that you are just very natural and add so much humor and raw authenticity into it that it makes the coaching and the self help more palatable to everyone. Whereas
Mhm.
some people, they don't want to just listen to the self help all the time, which is a lot of what
Right.
I do. And it's like, can you just give me some entertainment as well and humor? And people need that balance. So you are doing
Yeah.
that beautifully. And another question I have for you, which is something I ask everyone on my podcast, is what is a dream that you have that maybe not a lot of people know about?
Oh, a dream I have. Wow. What dream do I have?
Well, you just shared one about interviewing celebrities on your
Yeah, I'm
podcast,
like,
but
that's one of my big dreams.
that's one. But maybe there's another one that maybe most people wouldn't know about you.
I would love to go and either be in a box at like a big sports game or front row seats at a big basketball game and just hang out with because when I have met a lot of celebrities, and the funniest thing is they are just normal people and I'm not starstruck, and I would just love to like joke around with those funny celebrities and hang out with them. And I love being in concert and those big arenas like that. I feel very alive, and I that's just always been on my bucket list, dream list, is to like be front row center at a basketball game or hanging out with
Yes.
really cool people at a big sports game. Yeah, that's one of mine.
You're a sports girl then. Is basketball
No,
your favorite
no,
sport?
I
You're
don't
like,
even
no,
watch sports.
I just like the basketball players, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I like to look at handsome men. Wait, I want to know a dream of yours. If you ask everyone, I want to know your dream.
A dream of mine. I have a lot of dreams.
Good.
Let me think of one that's not as nerdy as
No, if it's nerdy, if you like it,
um
it's great.
okay, a dream. Okay, so this is a random dream, but I have a dream of doing a collaboration on a song with a reggae artist who I is famous, but not super famous. Like not
Yeah.
everyone knows him. His name is Nacio Fontaine.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's from the Dominican Republic. He doesn't have an online presence. I don't think he's even still
Okay.
making music. But I think about all of the artists I listen to, and I love his songwriting. I love his voice. I love what he talks about in his songs. And if I were to do a collab with some famous reggae artist, it would be Nacio Fontaine. I don't ever see him gigging. I don't see shows. I don't see new music
So
coming
you're
from
gonna
him.
run into
He
him one
doesn't have a
day, and that's how
website.
it'll happen. You're gonna run
But
into
that is a
him.
dream. Yes. And so maybe he will hear this podcast. Someone will hear this
Yes.
podcast and they'll be like, Nacio, this girl wants to make a song with you.
Yeah,
And
like
so
his first cousin. Yeah.
that's a dream of mine. Of course,
Okay.
the most impossible artist, but yeah, that's a dream.
I don't know. Nothing's impossible.
Yes. Nothing's impossible. So if our listeners want to find you, how can they connect with you?
On YouTube and Instagram, it's my full name, Kiaoratahi, Kiaoratahi. And then on Spotify and Apple Podcast, it's Kiki Said So.
Yes, check out her podcast. Thank you for being
Yes.
here. This was fun. And as you were talking about your confidence and how you coach and the work that you did on yourself, I was already having visions of collaborating and possibly doing workshops or having you come and guest speak to my group coaching
Oh,
community
yeah.
or retreats or something and doing
That
workshops. So
sounds fun.
I hope that's down the road for us.